on set. 50,000 on my head is disrespect. So offended that I had to double check. I'ma always take the money over sex. That's why they need me out the way.
Hello there. I'm back again with another video. We are on episode 6 of Makeup for Dummies, and today we'll be getting into this complexion. I think this is probably the most lit that I've done my complexion in a long time. Okay. If you are new to my channel, hi, I'm Tangeia, and this is my series that we're almost complete with, Makeup for Dummies, where I do a very, very, very beginner-friendly and very, very detailed discussion and demo of how to apply makeup, specific areas. Today's episode is episode 6, Complexion. We work on, or we talk about primers, foundations, highlighting, contouring, blush, and glow, which is also called highlight. So, if you would like to get into all of that today, this video is going to be very long, but I feel like I explained it pretty well, and I hope that you guys enjoy it. So, if you want to get into all that, just keep watching. Alright guys, so let's get into this complexion. Okay, so number one thing about complexion is your skincare routine. No, number one to the second number one is drink water. Okay, water just flushes your system of everything. It clears your skin. It does so many wonderful things for your body. Like, just drink water. I promise you, your skin will thank you. The other number one thing is the skincare routine. You have to find products that cater to your skin type and will combat any problem areas that you may have. So my skin now is pretty normal. It's, I guess, normal combination, normal oily sort of kind of. I really only get oily like throughout this T-zone, and it definitely doesn't happen as easily as it used to once upon a time. So I consider myself to be normal oily. I will not use like dewy products that cater or can say they're dewy or anything like that, because that just looks too much for me. It doesn't do well. So you have dry combination, normal combination, oily, and then oily skin. So you need to find products that are going to cater to your skin type. So we'll get into skincare a different day, but for right now, the first thing that you want to find that will combat any problem areas that you may have is your primer. I love primer. I really feel like it does help make my makeup stay on longer, and it just smooths out my skin, gives me a really nice even canvas to work on. Some people say primer is unnecessary, but I am one of the ones that says you need it. And the primer that works the best for me is a higher end brand. It is the Lancome LA Base Pro primer. It's really soft, and I actually wear this by itself sometimes, and not even like under makeup. I just smooth it over my skin because it feels so good. It just brings life back to my face. Like, not like I was dead, but it just does something. Lancome is just lit for skin. I'm just saying. So some more affordable primers though that work really well are the number 7 Airbrush Away. That's a really good primer for, I would say, normal skin. I don't feel like it will hold up that well for oily skin. I haven't really found any drugstore ones that work like bomb for oily skin. NYX Angel Veil is okay, and the number 7 Beautifully Matte is okay. But a trick from Jackie Aina, she says to set your primer with powder. So whatever primer that you find that says it caters to oily skin, I will use that, and then also set it with like a translucent powder before you put on your foundation. That's just going to make your oils have to fight through another layer before they surface to the top of your skin and start messing up your makeup. For dry skin, I really don't have any really good recommendations because I don't have dry skin, and I've never worked with a client that really has dry skin. They may have like patches, but those are easier to fix than, you know, your whole face being dry. I would go with primers that say they add radiance or dewiness. That means they have some more oils in them, so they're gonna, you know, moisturize your skin so it doesn't like start to flake or, you know, try to combat with the formulation of your foundation to like leave dry patches. So you'll have patches that may not look like they match your skin type because you have a dry area where your skin is trying to absorb your foundation pretty much. If you have normal skin, I would pick a side. You may want ones that say like radiance or dewy type finish, or create a dewy radiance look. If you have normal skin, or You can find ones that say matte, because either way your skin can probably adjust to it, so that your foundation works good with it. There are a lot of foundations that do not work good with a lot of different primers, so you need to also find that combination that works well for you as well. This Lancome one is definitely my favorite that I've ever tried. It works pretty good. No, it works really well with every foundation that I like. I haven't had any issues with it. A higher end primer for oily skin though is the Becca Ever Matte Poreless Primer. Fills in your pore and definitely gives you a straight up matte look. So if you have really oily skin, I would say that would be a really good primer for you, because it's definitely gonna keep the oils back for a longer amount of time. So I'm going to go ahead and put this on. I just use a little bit, and then I'll just massage it, and I really just place it in my T-zone and then massage it around the rest of my face. I don't even really use a full pump. This primer lasts me a really long time, which is good because it's expensive. So I'm really just using my fingertips and massaging that into the skin. And then I do let it just like chill and get acquainted with my skin for a little bit. I just like keep rubbing it in, so my primer and my skin get acquainted. So they'll be like, oh, so we can invite our friend foundation, right? Right. So again, you need to find foundations that are going to work well with your skin type. Again, oily skin, don't get foundations that claim to give you a dewy finish. You're just going to look more oily. Dry skin, don't go for foundations that say they are completely matte. You're going to look even more dry and caked up. So find ones that cater to your skin type. I don't currently have a shade that matches for me for a drugstore foundation, so I will be using the NARS Longwear Radiant Foundation. Bomb. Expensive, but bomb. Also the Too Faced, the extended range Too Faced and Jackie Aina collab. Too Faced Born This Way literally looks like the best version of my skin. But today I'm going to be using NARS. So I have my primer all worked into my skin. So now I'm going to go ahead and use the NARS Longwear Radiant, guess I should have my brushes out, foundation. So there's several different tools that you can use to apply your foundation. They have flat foundation brushes, buffing foundation brushes, stippling brushes, beauty sponges, like beauty blenders, stuff like that. My favorite is going to be like a kabuki, really fully densely packed brush to buff in my foundation. Beauty sponges, beauty blenders give you a really nice finish. I just feel like they take entirely too long to blend, where I can just like, with my buffing kabuki type brush, I can just, you know, spread it around, stipple it, spread it around, and buff, and it gives me a really nice flawless finish. My brushes were clean for about 2 seconds, and now they're not. My favorite brush to do that with is the Morphe M439. You can see it here. It's densely packed. You can see lots of fibers, hairs, whatever they are, and it just really gives me a nice even finish. It's a really soft brush. Another one that is pretty comparable to this, just not as much space, so it may take you just a little bit longer to blend in, but again, densely packed. And this is the Real Techniques buffing brush. Basically do the same thing. As you can see, one is larger than the other, so but they basically give me the same type of finish. This one just covers, you know, more surface area. Like I said, you can use beauty sponges. You need to make sure they're damp so they expand, and you just pounce it around the face to blend in your foundation. It's going to pick up any excess that you may have put on, so it'll give you a nice layer. And usually most foundations are, you know, medium buildable coverage, so you can, it's good to build it up. Some people, you feel like you may waste a lot more product when you use a beauty blender because it does soak some of it up, but it does give you a really nice finish. Sometimes I will use a flat foundation brush, which I cannot find right now because I don't use it often. But, you know, a regular flat foundation brush to apply it. I never really use it to completely blend out my foundation because that just takes entirely too long, and I find it to be streaky. And then, like I said, like a stippling brush. I use stippling brushes for blush now, but you can also use a stippling brush. It's usually a dual fiber type situation, and you just pretty much pounce it around and blending your foundation in. So, but today I'll be using that Morphe M439, so I'm just going to put some foundation on. I really try my best not to use my hands because I'm a mess, and like now I have on white. I will touch something, forgetting that I have makeup all over my hand. I'm terrible at it. I'm terrible with it. So, Like I said, I put the foundation all over. You always want to start with a little bit and then work your way up. You may want to concentrate on problem areas first. You may want to go in and conceal first. You can either use color correcting concealer to conceal any problem areas you may have. If you have like dark spots or hyperpigmentation, you want to use an orange concealer to combat the darkness. If you have like red spots, you want to use a green concealer to cancel out the redness, and then you will go over it with your foundation or concealer your color and then your foundation after that. If you choose to cover it with a concealer that matches your skin tone, then you'll go over your entire face with your foundation. So it's levels and layers, but I don't feel like any of my problem areas are really that bad. Majority of the time my foundation just covers it up, so I really don't color correct anymore. You know, it was a trend for a minute, but I feel it's null and void. So I'm just going to spread the foundation around by just like stippling it everywhere. You can start to kind of see what type of coverage you're going to get. So I've spread it around, and now I'm just going to keep it pressed against the skin and buff. And as you can see, we're really getting some really nice coverage from this foundation. All foundations are not created equal. I will definitely say that. If it says like a CC, if you want really light coverage, CC creams, BB creams, those will be your best options. Like tinted moisturizers, that's going to give you super light coverage. It's really going to look like your skin. You're not really going to be able to cover any problem areas if you do have any. And sometimes if you do try to cover them with like the concealer and everything first, when you go over it with the tinted moisturizer, it's just not enough coverage to, you know, cover up what you tried to correct. So for today, I feel like one layer is enough. Sometimes I'll go back in, I'll put a little bit more foundation like on my cheeks, because I have like dark spots on my cheeks, hyperpigmentation, like you can see it on this side. Can't really see it on this side. I have dark corners of my mouth. The corners of my mouth are dark. And then sometimes I'll have like really, really out of control bags, which is like now because I haven't really slept. But anyway, so I've blended the foundation in. Sometimes I'll go like, I really won't even say go down my neck, but I'll go around this jawline. I really don't like going down my neck or in the chest area because it's going to get on your clothes. I've not found any setting spray, any foundation that does not transfer. They transfer, I don't care. So I really try not to go down here because it's going to get on your clothes. I found especially if you're, you know, dark skin, brown skin, anything, but even with Caucasian, you can probably still see it on their clothes too, but you're really going to see brown on white, you know? So, yeah, so we have our foundation buffed in. So now I will be moving on to concealer, and my favorite concealer right now is the Too Faced Born This Way Multitask Concealer. It's the jumbo size one. Too Faced Born This Way Multitask or Multi-Use Sculpting Concealer. I use the shade Toffee right now for summer. It has a really nice big applicator, so you don't have to use as much product. A lot of it, you know, comes out. Well, not a lot of it, but a nice amount comes out. You can see this diamond applicator, so you can get into that corner of your eye if you're placing concealer. And you just have like a really nice amount of space, whereas most applicators are thin, so you feel like you need to dip back into your concealer. You may end up using a little bit more product than you necessarily need. Another really good drugstore foundation concealer is the Makeup Revolution. You can get this at Ulta. Makeup Revolution Conceal and Define. They have a really nice shade range, and this concealer is pretty much comparable to the Tarte. What is that Tarte? See, I haven't used it in so long. Tarte Shape Tape is pretty much comparable to that as far as coverage and consistency goes. And it's not even half the price. This is $7, whereas the Tarte one is like $24. This one is, it could actually be a $30 concealer, but it's a lot of products. It's a lot more products. It's jumbo size. But anyway, really good coverage, really good finish, blends out nicely. Good concealers to start with are like the LA Girl Pro concealers. They're like they're actually getting kind of expensive, $2 and $3.99 or something like that. I would say they blend better with brushes than beauty blenders to me, and I find like they can get kind of streaky. I haven't used them in so long because I'm just so bougie now. Maybelline Age Rewind is good. Maybelline Fit Me concealer is good. So those are some of my favorite drugstore concealers. I actually may be using the Maybelline Fit Me today to give me a little bit of brighter under the eye. I didn't put on anybody's brows. Wow, so this is going to be a task. We're going to see. I've never done my foundation before my brows, but we're going to see. So I'm just going to do a couple little stripes, and you can see how it's not that much color difference. this would be the type of thing you do for your no makeup makeup. You want to stick with colors that are more closely matched to your normal shade. But no makeup makeup is still a full face of makeup. I just want y'all to know. You can do just like concealer, but that's not a no makeup makeup. There's, you know, just concealer. But no makeup makeup is literally still a full face, and that's what we're about to do today. It's just really nicely blended, and not too much theatrics going on as far as blush and crazy eyes and none of that. So, have my concealer on. I put it under the eyes, bridge of the nose, forehead, cupid's bow, and chin, and you're going to blend this in. Some concealers need to set a little bit longer so you can get the maximum amount of coverage from it. When you let it sit, it does thicken up and begin to set. You don't want it to sit too long because then it will set and not move. But one thing to do to help it move if you blend with a beauty blender is to spray your brush with something wet, or you know, just have a damp brush. That will help to like reactivate the concealer so it'll move and blend better. But I just let mine sit for a hot second. But I always dampen my beauty sponge with this Mario Badescu Rose Water Spray because I never remember to dampen my brushes or dampen my sponges with water before I start. And I just feel like this just does something. I honestly don't know what this water is supposed to do, this rose water. I don't know, but it does everything for me, okay? So now we have a damp beauty sponge, and we're just going to go ahead and pounce it over the concealer and blend it out. So we're going to use the point to move the product around, the point of the sponge, to move the product around where you need it to go, getting up under that eye, and you're pouncing, not dragging, because that will just move everything you lay down. It's going to move the concealer, it's going to move the foundation, so you're pouncing. See how it's just kind of like blending into the skin. Don't worry about the edges yet, because like I said, we're just using the point now to get the coverage that we're wanting, move the product around to where we need it to be, blend it into the skin. And now all these edges that you can see, like you can see the difference between my concealer and my foundation here, right under here where I put it under my eyes, and then around here at the chin. We're going to use the booty of the beauty blender and blend the foundation and concealer together. And this is what I mean by no makeup makeup. You see how the foundation and the concealer were pretty closely matched, not too different, like 2 or 3 shades lighter. That's how you have the subtle bringing back dimension to your face, because when you put foundation over top of your skin, you lose all the dimension in your skin because you have different colors in different areas, and you get depth. So when you put the foundation over, you pretty much make yourself 2D. So highlighting and contouring is bringing back the light and shadow back to your face to create dimension. So I am going to add another concealer that's a little bit lighter, which is the Maybelline Fit Me. We're just going to do a couple dots of that under the eye, on the bridge of the nose, well, pretty much everywhere. You can see how much lighter that is compared to the first concealer and the foundation. Just want a little extra brightness. And I don't even let this one set too long. Take that same beauty sponge that we used and go ahead and do the same thing and blend it out. See how much of a difference it is between adding that lighter concealer on top. And when you're choosing your concealers, you want to go about 2 shades lighter. I would say would be, you know, good. 3 I think is a little bit much. You can begin to look ashy and you'll be wondering why. But if you do end up getting one that's too light, you can always use a powder to, you know, offset the difference. You see how we've added dimension back to the face. It was flat, and now we're back to being 3D. So when you're using creams, you want to make sure that you set them so they don't slip and slide and move around your face. It's going to last longer and honestly looks more skin-like. I really don't like powder foundations to just, you know, wear by itself, like the Bare Minerals. That I'm not a fan. I think liquid looks better, but you do need to go ahead and set them with a powder so they stay put. Under eyes won't crease. You get that like super magazine like finish. So if you have dry skin, you're not gonna bake, and what baking is literally setting powder on top of your face. It creates like a little kitchen, a little oven, and your skin and the powder trap the heat inside, so it sets all this makeup into place, and then you just blend away and dust it away. If you have dry skin, you don't want to do that because you're drying out your skin. See, so you're gonna just use you can still use like a loose powder. You'll just take a brush and like just tap it over. You'll just lightly set it, but you won't let it sit. I bake for a little bit And I use another beauty sponge. This one's dry. You can do it damp, but I just choose to do it dry. We're just going to pick up some of the powder, and then I'm going to place it all over my highlighted areas. And I bake as long as it takes me to contour and put on my lashes. So I don't know, maybe 5 minutes. Some people will bake forever in a day. I find it unnecessary. But when you're baking, you do want to try and get an even layer of powder so one area doesn't look more caked up than the other, or dry a specific area out. And what I'm doing back here is I'm pretty much just creating a little guideline, or helping my contour that is not even there yet be snatched, because my contour is going to go right in here, and this powder is going to help it just look like. All right, so now onto contouring. If you like to cream contour, be my guest. I find it to be very messy and it takes just entirely too long, so I always contour with a powder. And the powder that I love to contour with is the MAC Studio Fix in NW58. Alright, went ahead and put on my brows because my camera only lets me record for 23 minutes. Weird time, I know. And that means I've been baking for a lot longer than I normally would. So let's hope that this still looks like something when we're done. But yeah, I didn't want to contour and all that without y'all seeing it. So I like to use the MAC Studio Fix powder to contour. You really use any powder that's about 2 shades darker. Another one that I like in the winter because I'm too dark for it now is the Black Radiance Ebony powder. Freaking love, so affordable. I think it's like $5 or $6 or something like that. This one, the little brush that comes with it, Trish Ash, don't need that. Definitely can contour with this in the winter, so it's lit. Pretty much works just like this MAC one, which y'all know MAC is expensive. So I just use the Real Techniques contouring brush, which is like a domed, no, just like a tapered dome brush. And I also like to use a good brush to use are ones that are like slanted, not even concave, slanted brushes that kind of like fit into your cheek area. My 929 brush set has one. You can see how it slants. And with this one, you wouldn't use a heavy hand. You kind of just like dab it and buff, not even really buff, really just dab the product on. We're gonna go ahead and use that one because this one I just swirl a lot. But I feel like an easier way to get it done is with a slanted brush like this from 929, or one like this. This one's more round from Morphe. This is the Morphe E4 brush. So either one of these, we're actually going to use both. We'll use one for one side and one for the other just so you can see. So I'm going to start with the Morphe one because I have a routine. So I'm just going to dab a little bit of the powder. You can see it on the brush. I'll tap off any excess because you can get really heavy-handed with contour and it can look a lot. And that's what I don't like doing with cream contour, because when you try to blend it out, it can look really muddy and it's kind of difficult to make look nice again. I feel like powder you can control a lot more and it's easier to clean up if you need to clean it up. So we have our contour on our brush and we're just going to go in the hollows of our cheek, and you can find that by making it like a fishy face. You want to go right in there to add dimension to your cheek. You can, this is how you slim the face. I go along my jawline, hollows of my cheek, around my 5-head, down the nose, snatch the nose. I tend to use the Black Radiance Ebony powder for my nose because it's a little bit lighter than this. Well, it's lighter than this MAC one, and I feel like the MAC one can just look really harsh, and you want your nose contour to be soft, okay? So we're just gonna dab that in an upward motion. You can see the difference between the foundation, where it's highlighted, and the contour. You can see creating that line. I'm just going to go up, and I'm going to go to the middle of my forehead and then use the other brush for the other side. And I'm really just dabbing it back, not using too much pressure. I am closer up on the brush to the ferrule, because the closer you are to the actual bristles, the more pressure you're putting on your face. So I'm about right here, like towards the middle of the brush. Light pressure so I don't apply the product too dark, and to help buff it into the contour and highlight, using some swirling motions, still keeping it concentrated to where I actually need contour, or want contour I should say. Bring it up into the hairline so that all blends, because if not, you'll have the skin or foundation color showing a above your contour. So, and contouring everywhere is not necessary. It's not necessary for all face shapes either. Like if you have a small forehead, don't contour your forehead. You're just gonna make it look smaller, like non-existent. If you already have like really set in defined cheekbones, if you want to bring attention to it, you want to go ahead and contour some more. But if not, then I will use either a lighter powder or not contour it off. You can already see it after you put on foundation and all of that other stuff. So now I'm switching to the 929 brush. Picks up product more lightly than that Morphe brush, but again, it has the slanted bristles. You're gonna do the same thing. So I'm coming around the other side of my forehead. As you can see how densely that applied. Wow, blend that out. That was intense. Thanks, girl, for that. Look, now we gotta go to work. We need both hands. Blend. So again, just taking that into the hairline. And then another way to fix that, I'll show you in a second. We're gonna finish contouring first. Going around the forehead, bringing it back into the cheek, doing this dabbing upward motion because I don't want it to go lower than where we placed that powder. And then sometimes I will like smile and round out my cheek just so we have that little curve defined as well. I'll go across the jawline. Now just use any residual powder that's on the brush. I don't want that to be too intense either, because that just creates more of a differentiation between your neck color and your face color because you have that dark contour in between the two. So I feel like it just attracts more attention to it, which I don't want. Another way I do to like fix like a mistake like that powder patch, is I'll use my foundation brush and blend it out. Bam! Straight line down. So now to the snatching of the nose. I'm going to use that Real Techniques brush and my Black Radiance Ebony powder. You can use a smaller brush that's more fitted to the nose. I just use this one because I like it. I feel like it applies really nicely. And I just pinch the bristles so it's creating this straight line. And that's how I'm going to chisel out my nose. I'm just going on the sides of it right next to the powder to create the snatch. A smaller brush, you'll be able to go up into the brow area, so you create that line. And then I'm going to go into where the little lines for your nostril are. I create a little triangle shape with that to define that some more and complete the snatch. And do the same thing on the other side. You don't need to use too much powder. If it's ever too harsh, again, you can use your foundation brush or just a clean blending brush to soften it up. Want a more snatch, you can go with powder on the sides of your nose, so that'll define from the powder on your nose where you highlighted to where you're contouring with a darker shade, and it'll just be a nice clean sharp line. That's if you want that though. I'd rather have mine, you know, a little buffed out, softer. All right, so you see the little nose snatch, little snatch. All right, so now we've highlighted, contoured. I'm gonna go ahead and put on my lashes, and then we will dust away the bake and move on to the glow, highlighting and blush, and it'll be a wrap. Be back. All right, so I have on the Drama Minx lashes in the style Bev. In case you didn't know, you know that's my brand, 929. But anyway, so now we're finally, I think this is the longest I've ever baked in life. We are going to dust away the bake, and I'm going to use the Morphe E3 brush. I really like Morphe brushes if you didn't know. And I'm just going to really buff it into the skin and away. So, and the powder that I use, I did not say that before, was the Black Opal Velvet Finishing Powder in the shade Medium. That one has been working for me the best with the color combinations of foundation and concealer that I've needed to use this summer. Most times in the summer I have to use my Ben Nye Sienna powder because it's more of an orange finish. And again, like brush pressure, I'm really close to the ferrule. I'm pretty much touching it, but I'm not putting too much pressure down. I'm especially not under the eye. I'm kind of like sweeping it back and forth to blend it into the skin, and then blending using swirling motions to blend this powder highlight into the contour area. But yeah, the Ben Nye Sienna powder has a more of an orange finish, so it works well for me when I have my deep set in tan for the summer. But since my concealer has been so dark lately, more closely matched to my skin tone, I can brighten this area up a little bit more, so I just stick to the Black Opal, which is more of my winter powder. All right, we actually didn't, you know, dry it out too much. I do see some creasing under the eye because I normally do not bake that long. My eyes was like, girl, if you don't dust this the way you drawing this, ow! My bad. My bad. So, I do like to go in, if I feel like I've put too much contour on the jawline, I do like to go through and blend that some more. And then also if I want my contour sharper like it is on this side as compared to that side, I'll use my beauty blender and my setting powder again. I'll just put a swipe and literally dust it right back off. Alright, so you could stop here. This is your no makeup look. I have on literally a full face of makeup. I have on foundation, highlight, contour, and all of that, lashes and all. But we're gonna go into highlighting and blush. So I always do blush first. No, I don't always do, but today we're gonna do blush first. And like I said earlier, I like to apply my blush with a stippling brush. I use the Real Techniques stippling brush. And for summer, I like blushes that have a little more of an orange corally tint because it just looks better with my deeper complexion. In the winter, I'll stick to more of like magenta mauve mix, so it has a little bit more mauve than magenta. It's more pink, so but I don't really have a corally one, so I will use eyeshadow. So today I'm going to be using the Morphe 3502 palette. I'm going to mix this, like these two right here. This is like a deep, I don't even know what to call it, not quite burnt orange, like a burnt orange and coral mix, and then a warm brown to create my blush today. So I'm just tapping lightly into the both of those, going back and forth, tapping off the excess, and then lightly sweeping it on the highest point, well not the highest point, on the apples of my cheek, blending it into the contour so they mesh together. Use a blush brush for this, but I would still recommend the same technique. And you see I'm all the way at the back of the brush using the lightest amount of pressure because it is an eyeshadow, so it's supposed to be pigmented, but I don't want to be like, you know how, no, we don't want that. So I'm using the lightest amount of pressure that I can, not dragging it on the skin because it will leave its mark. Okay, it's eyeshadow, not a blush. Now with the blush, sometimes a lot of blushes aren't as pigmented, they don't pick up as easily, so you can use a little bit of a heavier hand so you can get your desired look. All right, so you have our blush. We just brought a little bit of warmth back to the face. So now I'm going to go ahead and highlight. And I also like to use, for the summer, I've really been liking the mix of a cream and powder, well, a powder on top of a cream highlighter. And my favorite highlighter right now is this ColourPop Avalon cream highlighter. It's lasted me a good little time. A lot of people say they tried out. She's still damp and she's still popping, okay? I like to apply this with my 929. It's like it's just a domed face brush. You could do what's in ever. You could blend out concealer with this. You can buff out contour with this. You can apply blush with this. It's really small, but you can. But I like to use it to apply my cream highlight. So I just dab into that. And then again, using like a stippling motion, I'm going to put on the highest point of my cheek. So you just smile. And right in this area is where you're going to want to highlight. I also highlight my nose. I love a disrespectful highlight. Okay, disrespectful. Blinding from this side. And like, girl, you Rudolph from this side. And that's fine. Also do the bridge of the nose. And sometimes I do the Cupid's bow. It makes more sense for me to do it after because I always end up overlining because I hate seeing this line of the lip. So I cover all of that. But that's where your Cupid bow glow goes. So anyway, go ahead and use a stippling motion to apply that. And this by itself is just going to give you a like glow from within sheen type of glow, which is still really pretty. See, subtle. It's cute. But I like disrespect. So there's different types of highlighters, even if they're the same like consistency, if they're still powder or whatnot. Another one that I like for like more of a sheen versus like a glow or like a glittery type of look is the Milani. It's a bronzer. I don't bronze. I highlight in contour. But it's the Milani 05 Soleil bronzer. It gives you a nice sheen, glow from within type look. It's not super glittery. It does kind of like this, but it's a little more gold, bronzy gold, where this one is more of like a rosy gold. So you just tap that into the skin. Same thing on the nose. And then sometimes I'll use my finger, but I'm lazy today, so we're going to use this edge of the brush to get the bridge of the nose highlight. And then in the center of the nose, working up a little bit of glow. We'll just go here with it. Again, using the edge of the brush to do a little bit of lip highlight. Like I said, I like going over my cream with the powder to get the disrespect, because like, this is cute. It's cute or whatever. You see it. You see it. You see it. Yes, I want more. So a great highlighting palette that I love, and I don't know why I slept on Makeup Revolution for so long, but it's their HD Pro highlighting palette. Like, it has 22, 4, 6, 8, 10, 12, 14, I lied, 15 different highlighters, and I like it because I get a variety of shadows. This is good if you're a makeup artist. You pretty much have a highlighter in here for every shade. I do like wearing pink ones sometimes, and that's what I was really on a hunt for. And then I saw this palette, and I'm like, yes, all the pink highlighters in here, nah, okay. These two, Bird and Shady, are my jams. Some of them I cannot use because they're just a little bit too silvery. They'll look nice maybe as an eyeshadow, but to highlight, it will give you like a cast instead of a glow. So, two brushes that I like to use for highlighting on the face are these two, my Morphe M310 and the Morphe M530. One's a fan brush. It's like a fluffy fan brush. Some of them are really thin. I don't feel like they pick up product as well or deposit as well. And then we have this one. It's kind of lost its shape from being washed, kind of rough, but blends really nicely. And then another brush I like to use when I'm highlighting, if I feel like I've over highlighted or I just needed to blend into the skin some more, is this really fat fan brush by BH Cosmetics. It just blends the skin so well. I also use this to like dust away fallout. You know, when I first saw it, I'm like, bro, what am I gonna use this for? Ain't nobody use this in no videos. Love it. So we're gonna do one side of the face with the fan and one side with the little, I guess you can call this the dome. So, what do I want to be today? I feel like we're really rosy, so we're just gonna stick with rosy. I'm gonna take the shade Bird, which is this one right here. It's a rosy gold powder highlights. Tap off excess because it does get intense. Dab it on. You see it already? Do you see the disrespect? And then we're gonna go on circular motions and swirl to intensify and blend. I'm gonna bring it up into a C shape, come around that brow. Using a light hand, you see how far back I am on the brush? Boom, disrespect. Same thing over the nose. You can dip back in. Disrespect. Boom, boom. Oh, I said I was using the other one. All right, so now I'm gonna take the domed type brush. Same thing, tap into the highlights. Tap off any excess. Ooh, that was a lot. Tap onto the skin and then use circular motions to blend. As you can see, this one applies a lot softer than the brush. The brush had the powder concentrated onto like that line. So it applied it to the face all at one time a little more evenly. As this one I'm kind of trying to buff and blend as I go. This will be an opportune time to show you how that fan brush works. You see how intense that is as compared to that one. So we're going to use that big fan brush to soften this out and blend it in, because I feel like it's just really concentrated because this is a wider, well, thicker surface than the fan brush. So now I'm going to take my BH Cosmetics one, and I'm really just going to go across the top and then go in circular motions over top of the highlight to kind of dial it down, spread out the color a little bit, drag it where I need it to be. All right, so that looks softer to me. So we have a whole face, you guys. We have foundation. We have primer, foundation, highlight, contour, glow, blush, all of that. So to lock all this down, like I have said before, I always spray my face with the Mario Badescu Rose Water Spray first. That's going to absorb any excess oil that I have sitting on my face that I just missed or can't see. Didn't brush away so it doesn't dry up and make that area look too patchy. And I feel like it just makes the skin look a lot more skin finished anytime I apply a lot of powder, which I did. We baked for a long time, then we did a powder contour, we did a powder blush, and we did a powder highlight. So that's a lot of powder just sitting on top of the face. So to help it like blend and mesh in with the skin, I'm going to use the Mario Badescu Rose Water Spray to get it together. I'm going to keep it at a distance because her squirt can be intense now. We're going to help her dry. And then to lock the B on down, we're going to use a setting spray. I use the Mario Badescu as like a finishing spray to complete the look, settle in anything that's you know, just sitting on top of the skin, and then to lock the bead down, create another barrier so our makeup stays on longer. Any oil has to work a little bit harder to get to the surface of the skin to start making stuff slip and slide around. Oh, I didn't do my brow highlight. Pause. Rewind. I love this little mini fan brush from Morphe. It's so it's the Morphe M558. Like, look at her. She's so cute and little. So this is the brush I use to highlight the bridge of my nose and that brow bone, because so I don't really feel like there's ever enough glow. Okay, it just needs to be distributed properly. But I'm always here for the blind. So we're just gonna take it right there in the arch of the brow. Get a little light catching going on. And if it's ever too intense, like I feel like I went down a little bit too low, so I'm just gonna use my skin or my finger, because it's warm, to kind of like melt the product down and blend it up back into where I actually want the product to be. Simple as that. And on the bridge of the nose, I'm gonna take it on the tippy top of the bristles and just go down that bridge. Light hand holding the brush all the way at the back or at the bottom. And there we go. So now we're gonna lock the bead down. My bad, y'all, my bad. And my favorite setting spray, Morphe Continuous Setting Spray. Bro, let me just go ahead and get popping so Morphe can just run me this code, because I'm just saying. How many times I done said Morphe in this video? God. So, hold her at a distance, even though her mist feels wonderful, okay? Just get her together. So, lock her down. And for me, if I didn't feel it touch my face, it didn't happen. So if I go back to an area, it's because I didn't feel it. So, again, help her dry. I just feel like this really gives me the best skin finish. It doesn't dry me out too much. I feel like the Urban Decay setting sprays just make me look really matte, and I'm not here for that look. It just really dries me out. This one gives me a nice skin finish, holds the bead down. And yeah, I'm here for it. I'm so here for it. So, all right, love bugs. So that is Complexion. That's how you get it done. You know, make it more dramatic. You get your eyeshadow popping. Make it more dramatic. You can add an even brighter highlight. Make it more dramatic. You can add an even more disrespectful glow. So I hope you guys enjoyed episode 6 of Makeup for Dummies. What are we doing next? Oh, lips. We will be doing lips next, and that will probably complete the series. That's a full face. If there's any other episodes that you guys feel like you want, drop them in the comments below, because after episode 7, you have a full face. You just got to practice the techniques. So that's going to be all for today's video. I didn't put any lips on, but it's fine. That's going to complete today's video, and I will see y'all in my next one. Stay true. Ooh, that girl cute. Or whatever.
Thankful for the women that I know. Can't go 50-50 with no hope. Every month